You've got 10 years of experience. You know what you're doing. You've earned your seat at the table. And then someone with 6 months on the job questions your call in front of the whole team again. Hi, everybody. I'm Shar. And if you're an outlier, that's a woman, LGBTQ plus professional, or a person of color who's navigating leadership in the trades or any other male dominated industry, this isn't new to you. Today, we're talking about what to do when your expertise gets questioned. Not the first time, but the third, the fifth, the 10th time it happens. And here's the truth, I need to say it up front. I've fallen into every trap I'm about to talk about, and I still mess up regularly. But after 25 years in fleet operations, I'm still working on it. So this isn't coming from somebody who's got it all figured out. This is coming from somebody who's been in the dirt and gotten back up, and I'm still learning. So let's talk about this. First, I want you to know why this keeps happening to you. It's not because you don't know what you're doing. It's not because you haven't proven yourself. It's because of accumulated weight. And every time you walk into the room as the only woman, the only person of color, or the only queer person, you're carrying the weight of every assumption people bring with them. Now, some assumptions come from ignorance. Some come from biases they may not even realize they have. And then some, well, yeah, some come from people who really, truly just don't want you there. And that's not on you to fix, it's on them. But here's what is on you. How is deciding on how you're going to respond when it happens. Because it will, again. Now, let's talk about a specific thing that happens a lot to leaders, and especially leaders in the trades that didn't come up from the floor. You'll hear, "You didn't turn a wrench." Well, maybe you came up from the business side. Maybe you came up from operations, logistics, safety. Maybe you're leading a fleet, a shop, a team, and you're damn good at it. But you didn't start off on the shop floor. And someone's going to try to use that against you. Now, here's what I want you to know. You didn't have to come up from turning a wrench to understand how systems work. A good fleet manager doesn't need to be an ASE certified master tech to know when a repair can take 4 hours or if it takes 8 hours. You don't need to have rebuilt a transmission to know what questions to ask or what data to look at or when something just doesn't seem to add up. But here's the trap. When someone says, "You didn't turn a wrench," your first instinct is usually to defend yourself. You prove you do know the technical side. Don't do that. You say something like, "You're right. I came up through operations, but what I do know is how to keep 200 trucks on the road with a 96% uptime. So let's talk about the repair timeline. Walk me through why this is taking longer than what the specs say." Now, you're not defending, you're redirecting to what you do bring to the table. And if they push back with, "Well, if you'd been on the shop floor, you'd understand," then you can say something like, "Maybe, but I'm not making this decision based on what I don't know. I'm making this decision based on data in front of me. So help me understand what I'm missing." Now they have to explain themselves, and if they can't, you've just shown everybody else in the room that the challenge wasn't about your competence, it was about their comfort. So when do you actually correct someone who's questioning your expertise? Here's my rule to that. My rule is you correct when silence equals agreement. What I mean is, if someone's wrong about a safety issue, you correct that immediately. Or if they're spreading misinformation about a policy, then you correct. Or if their challenge is going to create confusion for the rest of the team, then you need to correct. But what if it's just ego? If it's someone just trying to test you in front of the others, sometimes the best move is to let your work speak for itself. Now, here's an example. I had a truck that kept coming back to the shop, same complaint, intermittent stalling. 3 different techs had looked at it, replaced parts, sent it back out, and sure enough, it came back. I pulled the repair history and looked to see if there was a pattern. And I had a hunch it wasn't the fuel system that everybody figured it was. I was thinking it was an electrical, specifically a ground issue that only showed up when it was under load when the truck was hot. So I said to the lead tech, I think we're chasing the wrong problem. Let's pull the grounds, check for corrosion at the frame rail, connection points, and then test it under an actual thermal load. So he looked at me in front of the whole team and said, You sure about that? Because I don't think you know what you're talking about. We already checked the electrical, it's a fuel delivery issue. Well, I could have gotten defensive and I could have pulled rank and I could have said, I've been doing this for 20 years, just do what I say. Instead, I looked at him and said, I'm sure. Let's document what we find. Let's check it back in 24 hours. 24 hours later, he found the corroded ground exactly where I said it would be, fixed it, and the truck ran fine. I didn't turn around and say, I told you so. I didn't rub it in. I just said, Good catch on finding that corrosion. The truck's back in service. It's what we wanted. The team saw it, he saw it, and the next time I made a call based on repair history and patterns, nobody really questioned it. That's the long game. Sometimes you don't need to defend yourself in the moment. You have to let the work prove it. Now, here's where it gets kind of tricky. Sometimes the person questioning you genuinely doesn't understand. They're not being malicious. They just don't know what they don't know. Other times, they're testing you. They want to see if you'll fold. You have to read the room. If it's genuine curiosity, educate, ask questions back. That's a great question. What's making you think that approach won't work? Now, you're having a conversation, not a confrontation, and you're getting information about what they do understand. And now you can kind of fill in those gaps. But if it's a challenge, it's if their tone, their body language, their history with you tells you that this is a test, then you challenge back. You can say something like, I'm happy to walk through my reasoning, but I need you to explain your concern first. What specifically do you think I'm missing? Now, the burden's on them. And if they can't articulate it, everyone in the room just saw what his intention was. Now, here's the thing nobody talks about. Sometimes you don't know the answer, and that's okay. The worst thing you can do is bluff, because if you get caught, you've just proven their point. Instead, be honest. You can say something like, I don't know the answer to that right now, but I'll find out and get back to you by the end of the day. And then you actually do it. Or if it's something that requires expertise that you don't have, you can say something like, that's outside my area, but I know who to ask. So let me loop them in and we'll get you an answer. This does 2 things. One, it shows that you're not pretending to know everything. You're competent enough to know your limits. And 2, it shows you know how to get the information. That's true leadership. Now, let's be honest for a second. Sometimes you're enforcing a policy or following a protocol that you didn't design, or maybe it came from the corporate office, or maybe it came from legal. Maybe it's some new technical standard that's above your pay grade, and someone decides to challenge you on it. You're going to hear, why are we doing it this way? Well, if you understand the technical reasoning behind it, then you can explain it. But if you don't, If you're following a directive because that's what the business requires, here's what you can say. This is the protocol we're following. If you have any concerns about why it's the protocol, I can escalate that question up the chain. But right now, this is the standard and we're operating under. You're not pretending to be the expert on the underlying technical decision. You're being clear that your job is to implement the business requirements. And if they keep pushing you, you can say something like, I hear your concern. Let me get clarity from whoever created the policy, and I'll circle back with you. But for now, we're moving forward with the protocol as written. You're not defensive. You're not making something up. You're being honest about the scope of your authority. Now, here's something I've learned the hard way. Not every challenge needs a response. Sometimes the best move is to let your work speak on its own. If someone questions your call in a meeting and you know you're right, sometimes you just say, noted, okay, let's just move forward and see what happens. When you let the results do the talking, because here's the thing, people remember outcomes. They don't remember who said what in the meeting. If you're right, they'll see it. And next time, they'll trust you a little faster. But if you're wrong, you own it fast and you course correct. But don't waste energy defending yourself in the moment when the data will prove it either way. This is the long game. This is the iron and the instinct. Now let's talk about what happens when you get defensive when you shouldn't have. When you snap back at someone who had a legitimate question, or when you dig in on a position and later realize you were wrong. It happens. I've done it. You'll do it if you haven't done it already. Now, here's how you recover. You acknowledge it. Apologizing is not just about being nice. It's about maintaining the integrity of the team. You say something like, I got defensive in that meeting and that wasn't helpful. I'm sorry. Or you explain what you were reacting to without excusing it. You can say something like, I've been questioned a lot about this lately, and I was on edge. That's on me, not you. Or you can say, you can correct the record if you were wrong. You say something like, I said X, but the right answer was Y, and here's what I'm going to do to fix it. And then lastly, after that, you move forward. You don't dwell, you don't grovel, you own it and you fix it and you keep moving. You keep going forward. People respect someone who can admit they screwed it up more than they do someone who just pretends and they don't admit it. Okay. So here's what you can actually do this week. 1. Next time someone questions your expertise, pause for 3 seconds before you respond. That pause lets you choose your reaction instead of just defaulting to defense. 2. Ask yourself, is this genuine curiosity, a test, or is it just noise? Then you respond accordingly. 3. If you don't know the answer, say so. Then get the answer and follow up. And 4, if you blow it, if you get defensive or snap at someone, own it fast. Apologize, correct, and move on. That's it. 4 things you can do this. Look, Hedy Lamarr, Edith Clark, and Mary Goldie Ross, the women I talked about in last week's video, they all had bad days too. They got questioned, they got dismissed, they got told they didn't belong, and they kept showing up anyways. You're going to have bad days. You're going to blow it sometimes. You're going to get defensive when you shouldn't, or stay quiet when you should have spoken up. That's part of being human. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is progress. So give yourself some grace, get back up, dust yourself off, and keep going. I will see you Friday with another Women's History Month video. This one's about women who literally invented the technology in your car. If you haven't grabbed it yet, stop by the8secondlife.com to get your free pre-ride checklist. It's your before the ride mental checklist for high pressure situations. And hit subscribe to see the new videos that I try to post every Tuesday and Friday for any outlier in the trades. Thank you, everybody. Stay in the middle.